while I was surfing, and because you shouldn't surf with those on. But no, I left it on shore and stuff. And then the next time I was at this conference, and he brought me. No, you came to Utah. He found me to bring me some flip-flops. That's pretty cool. That's dedication. So, but why do you care? Any questions about anything, about ministry, whatever, before I get into a seminar, and then maybe I'll have some time afterwards. But I thought, anything you're just curious about before we start? Not really? How many of you guys are in college right now? Okay, so only like some of you. All right, cool. So nothing? Nothing. Yeah, nothing. Come on, there you go. Perfect. What's my connection with college students? Well, I travel and speak to college students probably every other week or so. I have a college. I'm the president of a college. I'm a campus pastor at a different college, at Azusa Pacific University. And I went to college. I like college. There you go. What else? Yes. I'm in this next year, I'm going to be like a part-time campus pastor at APU. Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing chapels there for the last... Oh, are you? Okay. Are you at APU now? Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, it's just a recent thing. Terry Franson and I have been talking, and yeah. What's the other girl's name? Yeah, they're actually on campus. I'm kind of doing it from a distance because I can't really be over there. So I kind of just agreed to come like at least once a month, and do a chapel and then hang out with leadership students. And yeah, it's kind of like it's not exactly a campus pastor, but kind of a long distance, older campus pastor guy. Yeah, totally. Cool. Any questions? Brushing your hair. I thought you were raising your hand. Why did I start a college? I wanted to start a college for people that were going into missions or into the pastorate because I didn't really like the Bible colleges and the job they were doing in that area. A lot of guys that were teaching at the Bible colleges were professors and they weren't actual pastors. And so I felt like the practical side of it wasn't there. And also because of the debt that these future pastors were getting in. I spoke over at Pepperdine one time for chapel, and during lunch, they had me do this luncheon with all the Bible students. So I asked one of the Bible students, that's going to become a pastor, I go, how much debt are you going to be in by the time you graduate college? He said, about $120,000. And I said, and you're going to become a pastor? I go, how in the... He goes, well, I can't right after. I got to pay that off first. I go, you know how long it takes to pay off $120,000? And in my mind, I really felt like that was one of Satan's traps. The number one reason why people are not going into the mission field is because of college indebtedness. And so I thought, what if we started a college? What if our church subsidized it all, and students could actually graduate debt-free and go straight into the mission field? Or go straight into the ministry without asking for a huge salary, And what if they were taught by professors who were actually pastors, and so they're not just getting head knowledge, but they're getting practical knowledge at the same time. And so we had this dream to start a college that way, and so we started this college like 2.5 years ago, and it's been pretty cool. And we're like 2 years away from accreditation, but we're on our way. Yeah, it's totally fun. Yeah.
What's the college called?
It's called Eternity Bible College. It's right in Simi Valley, where my church is. So we use the church campus so that it's cost effective, and then also the other thing I didn't like about Christian college was the kind of bubble that you can get into. And so we have them take their general education, the gen ed courses at the local junior college, so that they're taking their Bible courses, with us, and then they're having to defend their faith on the secular campus and share their faith as well. And we also don't have dorms, but we set you up with other students, and you get an apartment, so you have to be a light in the apartment building too. And so it's kind of keeping the Christian student in the world while they're getting their Bible education and graduating them debt-free and being taught by pastors rather than professors. So,
okay, are we there?
We have about 200 students right now. About 130, I think, are for credit. Actually, we have probably 250 to 300 students. A lot of them are auditors, though. Half of them are just taking courses without credit.
Where's Simi Valley?
Simi Valley is about 45 minutes from APU, straight west. 118. APU is about 45 minutes east of Simi Valley. No, I just told APU for him. Azusa, California. It's like 45 minutes from Los Angeles. You heard of Los Angeles? Southern California, Los Angeles. It's about 40 minutes out of LA.
So is Simi Valley closer to the coast, I think?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, 118. Yeah. You guys know where the 118 is? 210 straight west turns into 118. Keep going west. Yeah. Yeah, it's about half hour from Ventura. You guys heard of Ventura? Good. Getting geography. You know Ventura? Good. Oh, yeah? It's nice, huh? And you live here now? It's nicer. Okay. Warm water. Yeah, what else? What else? Yeah.
How can you be a campus minister even though you have a full-time job?
You know, I have like 3 full-time jobs, and you know, and I was really struggling with this because I travel a lot, and then I've got my church, and then I've got my college that I teach at and I'm the president of, and then this campus thing is it's kind of like a pseudo-campus pastor role where they have campus pastors that actually live there, and they wanted an older person that was an actual pastor of a church to kind of, and I've kind of built a relationship with the students at Azusa Pacific over the last 5-7 years of doing chapels, and so it's kind of awkward. But here's the thing, you know, because I do probably too many things. But I had a friend who's a real successful businessman, and I was really struggling with my life. Like, man, what am I supposed to do? It's like I got my hand in all these different things. And he said there's this 20-80 principle. He goes, and it's basically this. He goes, whatever task you're trying to achieve, you'll probably accomplish 80% of it in the first 20% of the time you put into it. Does that make sense? And then the next 80% of the time you put into it will be fine-tuning that last 20%. In other words, he goes, Francis, as a pastor, yeah, you could spend 40 hours, 50 hours at your church. But he goes, I bet you could spend 10 hours at your church and accomplish about 80% of what you would accomplish. And most people won't even know the difference. And so I said, wow, so then I could have like 4 or 5 jobs and put 20% into each of them and really be accomplishing about 80% of what I do at each of them if I did them full time. Does that make sense? And so I thought, I'm going to try that. You know, and so right now it's working. It's really cool. Yeah, it's so just, you know, I just want to change the paradigm of we should all have 5 jobs. And just don't give it your all. Give 20%. What else? What else? Anything else? I'll jump into my talk for a little bit, and then afterwards we'll just have some more questions because maybe this will spark some interest. You know, my topic is how to enjoy following Christ during the college years. And the reason why I picked this is because if there were 5 years of my life, I'm turning 40 this year. I'm 39. I've been married 13 years. I've got 4 kids. Got one of them with me, my second daughter, Mercy. You want to say anything? No? Okay. And so if I could erase 5 years of my life, you know, because you look back and you have regrets, and there's just those years you hated and you wish you could do over again. If I could get rid of 5 years of my life, it would have been from 18 to 23. That was just a terrible time in my life. It was the worst time in my life. I was just telling someone recently, gosh, if I could just erase everything I did those 5 years. There was so much hypocrisy in my life, so much sin in my life. There wasn't joy in my relationship with God. I had fun. I had a lot of fun in college, but it was fun in spite of my relationship with God. It wasn't because of my relationship with God. I mean, so many mornings, you just wake up and you just feel guilt. And over your own sin, your own hypocrisy. All of my prayers seem to be focused on my sin and how sorry I felt for it. And it's like, God, I'm sorry again. I'm sorry again. I'm sorry again. I'm sorry again. To the point where it's like, God, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Because you probably don't even believe that I'm sorry. That was college to me. I didn't have much of a joy in my relationship with God. And maybe that's part of what motivated me to start a college. It's like, there's so many things that I want to warn college students about and traps that you can fall into, especially in a Christian college. But, there were so many passages in the Bible that I didn't get, and maybe you guys don't. Like Psalm 119. I look at Psalm 119, and the verses that had to do with God's commands, I just didn't understand. Verse 14, he says, I rejoice in following your statutes as one rejoices in great riches. My soul, verse 20, my soul is consumed with longing for your laws at all times. Think about this. This guy says, my soul is like longing for your commands all the time. Is that the way you feel? You just want to hear more and more commands from God? See, I didn't get that. Verse 32, I run in the path of your commands, for you have set my heart free. Verse 40, how I long for your precepts. Verse 47, I delight in your commands because I love them. Verse 62, at midnight I rise to give you thanks for your righteous laws. You guys ever do that? Wake up at midnight, thank you for all these laws. I mean, see, that's the whole thing. I'm reading these things. Verse 72, the law from your mouth is more precious to me than thousands of pieces of silver and gold. Verse 96, to all perfection I see a limit, but your commands are boundless. 97, oh, how I love your law. I meditate on it all day long. Here's the one that's crazy. Verse 131 of Psalm 119. I open my mouth and pant, longing for your commands. Okay, see, I would read these and I'm like, what in the world is he talking about? Give me more commands. Because to me, here's the thing. To me, ever since I became a Christian, which I think I got it in high school, the commands were like the downside to Christianity. That's the way I looked at it. I thank God that I was saved. I'm sorry, it's hard to preach with flowers. It to me was like the bummer. I was so excited to know that I was saved. I was so excited to know that I was a Christian, to know that if I died that day, I would go to heaven. But then there were these commands, and I didn't look at the commands like the psalmist did. I looked at it as the downside of Christianity. I think about all the things that I used to do, and then when I got serious about God, it's like, okay, so I can't. I mean, high school, I loved to cheat on tests. I didn't have to. I mean, I'm Chinese, but but I just enjoyed it. I just thought, this is really fun. Now I don't even have to study. And I just cheat. And then becoming a believer, it's like, oh, I can't do that. It's like the downer or lying. Oh, I love to lie. Isn't lying the best? Where you can just do anything. Go, I didn't do it. You just straight face and everything else. And so to me, there were so many things that I used to enjoy growing up. I loved flipping people off. I loved getting into, I never really got in a fight. But I love just the feeling of just getting in someone's face and just threatening. And even though inside I was scared to death, like, he could probably beat me up. But, just I don't know, there were just so many dumb things such as that. And then it gets more serious, like into the pornography, And so you start reading this book, and you like the fitting in, and you want to become a Christian, but then there's these commands. It's like, no more swearing. I enjoy swearing. No more cheating. I like cheating. No more pornography. I like naked girls. And you're going down, and you're going, so no to this, no to this, no to this, no to this. And so for me, college was that time where I'm struggling with these things, and I'm going, man, I just don't get it. I'm just fighting my sin every day. I'm getting defeated. I just really didn't have a whole lot of joy in my relationship with God. I was bummed out about his rules, but I was going to obey these rules to show God that I loved him. And to me, that was Christianity, was just do all the things you hate to show how serious you are about your relationship with God. And I know there's still a part of that that's true, but it's so much more than that. Now at my age, I can look back and go, gosh, I do love his laws. I do thank God for the commands. And as the older you get, the more you realize, wow, these commands really are for my good. And every time you disobey them, you realize that really didn't make me any happier. And so I'm at a point now where I'm still not panting for them, but I look at God's law and I go, wow, this is so good. Thank you for this. Thank you for this book. But I didn't have that attitude in college. And one of my favorite author on the earth is John Piper. And I remember when I first started reading some of his works, and his big mantra, or whatever you want to call it, is God is most satisfied. No, God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in him. God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in him. And I love that statement because that was so far